I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. We are now going to return to the Old Testament. We've been reading in the Book of Mormon, the last words of Nephi, and these words were spoken sometime between 560 and 545. That's our time frame. Now, during this time, we are still in the Babylonian captivity. Jeremiah is probably dead. This is 50 years after Lehi left Jerusalem. Jeremiah is probably dead. Ezekiel's probably dead. The kings are all dead. But Daniel is still alive. Daniel is still king. Getting to be an old man. He was about 16 years old when he was taken into captivity in the year 608. And we are now going down 60 years later. So he's in his mid-70s at this time. And that's where we pick it up. Daniel chapter 7. We're going to read this a little bit more in the later life of Daniel. Daniel sees 4 beasts representing the kingdoms of men. He sees the Ancient of Days, meaning Adam, to whom the Son of Man, Christ, shall come. The kingdom shall be given to the saints forever. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matter. What is our timing here? What is the third year of Belshazzar? When would that be? Well, Belshazzar was never officially king of Babylon, according to secular history. According to the records we have outside the Bible, he never was king. His father was king, and his father apparently was the son-in-law to Nebuchadnezzar. Belshazzar might be, although not completely verified, but he might be the grandson of Nebuchadnezzar. Now his father, Nabonidus, he became king in the year, I believe, 556. Somewhere in there. Could be as early as 559. This is just a year or two after Jeconiah was brought out of prison by Evil Merodach. Evil Merodach was only king for about another year after he brought Jeconiah out of prison. Nabonidus becomes king, and about 3 years later, we get Nabonidus. He conquers some places out west in Arabia, and he decides to stay there for about a decade. And Belshazzar is left as regent to rule over Babylon. Exactly how this is all very confusing in history. There's very little known very little known about Belshazzar and his reign. I think that Daniel, he says this is in the first year of Belshazzar. I think he's talking about the regnal years of Belshazzar. He's calling him king, but he means regent. In the first year that Belshazzar was regent. So this would be around 53, 54 BC, somewhere in there. We're not 100% positive on the timing, but around there. This is when this is taking place, which means Nephi is still alive. This is when Nephi is giving his last addresses. All that we read in the last 15 chapters of 2nd Nephi, last 20 chapters of 2nd Nephi, that's all taking place at the same time as Daniel is having this vision. Now, I've rambled enough here, so let's get back to the reading. Verse 2. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea, and 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet of him as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. I don't know if we actually get a full explanation of these beasts later on in the chapter, so let me just mention this. The lion, this is Babylon. Each of these creatures, each of these beasts, represents an earthly kingdom. And when it says they came up out of the sea, I believe, I've read Joseph Smith said that these are the images of beasts. They're not, he didn't see actual animals. He saw the images or the idols, statues of animals that looked like this. And whenever we see an image of an animal, it is the representation of an earthly kingdom. That's what Joseph Smith said. So we have the lion represents Babylon. The bear represents the Media-Persia Empire. We then have the leopard, 4 heads and 4 wings, conquering all. This is Greece under Alexander the Great, and when he died, his 4 generals divided all the land he conquered into 4 different nations. And the final beast being this great, indescribable beast with iron teeth. This is Rome. When it comes in, it conquers everything. But then the 10 horns are 10 more kingdoms that arise after the fall of not Babylon, after the fall of Rome. And this kind of lines up very similar to the statue that Nebuchadnezzar saw, because Persia, the Media-Persia Empire, was represented by the shoulders and arms, 2 different kingdoms. Rome, the nations that come after Rome, were the feet with the 10 toes, 10 horns. We have that parallel. But let us keep reading. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body was destroyed, and given to the burning flames. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory, and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. A lot of confusing stuff here. I don't want to get into too much detail. These visions of Daniel, you could spend hours discussing them and going into the details, but the Ancient of Days is Adam. We are told this in the Doctrine and Covenants. It's not God, because God has neither beginning of days nor end of years. He can't be Ancient of Days because he has no days to be ancient in. This is Adam, the oldest man, the oldest of all the human race. He has dominion over he has the patriarchal authority over all human life on this planet. And the little horn that came up, it destroyed 3 of the other kingdoms, rose up in its place. That horn is what's really being, the beast is destroyed, but I think that horn represents Western civilization to a large extent. Rome was the seat of Western civilization. And all the horns, all the kingdoms that come out of it is what makes up Western civilization as it passes through time. And so we have the destruction of Western civilization as it is being replaced with Zion and the ruling and Christ as the ruler of the world. Verse 15. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts which are 4 kings which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first. And he shall subdue 3 kings, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times, and the dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and to destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cogitations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me, but I kept the matter in my heart. We do get some explanation here. It doesn't actually state which kings these represent, but we know what they represent now because we know history. But when it says there, for a time and times and the dividing of time, from what I understand, this is an idiom. A Hebrew idiom meaning you have for time is a year, times is 2 years, and the dividing of time is 6 months. So 3.5 years. This number comes up quite a lot in end time prophecy. 3.5 is a common, well, fairly common number. It is for 3.5 years the 2 prophets defend Jerusalem in the book of Revelation. Here we have 3.5 years is how long it will be before the judgment is brought upon this last great king. But remember, it's the return of Adam that actually breaks the power of the king. Zion rises, Adam sits in Adam-on-Diamond, and the power of this last great and evil king is destroyed. I'm going to leave that here because there's just too much here to talk about in any real depth in a video like this. So I will see you. We're going to be actually going back to finish Ether next. So I will see you there.